It's the finale, ladies and gentlemen. The John Schneider Show has been happening each and every Thursday here live from the Virginia Mason Athletic Center with Wyman and Bob. We've got John here with us, and he brought us a friend today. He brought a guy I think most people are aware of right now. Head coach Mike Macdonald is here with us. Can we get...
Turn this up? Wasn't sure who
There
you were
we go.
talking
There
about
we
initially.
go. There we go. We're all good. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, cool to be here.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
I know you're so sad.
What were you pointing to there? You were pointing to this vicinity,
The
right?
t-shirt,
This region right
the
here.
T-shirt fits nicely, except right around the belly portion. It's a little too tight. I think I got it out of Jack's drawer this morning.
A little snug, is
Yeah,
it?
a little snug.
You didn't realize it till you sat down
Yeah,
in the
until I
chair.
sat down in the chair.
I look up and he's giving you this region right here.
Gets wedged right in the middle.
That's where the donuts get stuck, right?
You guys are so sad.
The what?
It's our last show. It's
Very sad.
Yeah.
We love talking to you.
Yeah.
You love talking to us.
I do,
Yeah.
especially off air.
Yeah. that's where the good stuff
Off air is the
happens.
good stuff.
Yeah. Should we get
But
to
thanks
the
for
draft?
coming, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dave's getting anxious here.
Come
He's
on.
like,
We only have so much time here. Come on now.
Should we say football
Yeah.
things?
Tell us about like how you guys collaborated during the draft. You know, what was the input and things like that? How different was the process for you, Mike, as far as being with a GM and all that stuff? What was it like with you two?
You want to go first?
We didn't collaborate.
Okay.
We did exactly what we wanted to do. Oh, yeah, no, it was awesome. I mean, no, it was great. But just the fact that I told you guys that they were putting their processes in and as much time as they spent, the coaches spent, it was outstanding. And the job they did on the Zooms was great. So, and then it helped the scouts and all the personnel people learn new coaches as well.
Yeah.
And then Mike was in our meetings enough early on, especially the first round of meetings we had, to get some great perspective on what he was looking for at specific positions.
How different was it for you, Coach, just being – you're the guy now. You're the head coach. I mean, you've been in there before as a coordinator, and I'm sure there was a process of getting your opinion and evaluation on different players, but you were looking maybe specifically at defense.
Yeah.
Now that you're overseeing the entire operation, how different was this for you?
Well, I mean, it's a work in progress since the day you walk in the door of where we're at, where we want to go. It's a lot of conversation between John and I and really everybody else on the building of who we have and, you know, the direction we want to take it and then what's out there. So it's just kind of this ongoing evolution of the roster building and the draft process. And to answer your question, we just got started a little bit later than you normally would, you know, as a coaching staff. So, but it was awesome, man. Getting used to a different process, and understanding it and having trust in the people that have been here for such a long time. It was awesome to understand how it works, you know. So it's eyes open and you're just listening. It's doing a lot of listening about what guys are saying about guys and see how we can get aligned and create consensus. And I think that's where we ended up.
Such a cool day because you have no idea what's going to happen. And what happened for you guys, you probably wanted a defensive player, and 14 offensive players get picked, right? I mean, that's incredible. You must have just been licking your chops right then. Was that kind of one of the stranger things that you've seen happen in the draft, John?
Yeah, we haven't talked since the draft. That's right.
No.
Yeah, sorry. Well, no, I'm not sorry that we didn't talk since the draft. I thought we talked about this already. No, I mean, just the fact that I was writing about this the other night, and I was telling Mike that it was way hairier than you remember at the time because we had a couple guys that, you know, we had several people that we just knew weren't going to be there. We were prepared for them to be there if they came. But, yeah, I mean, we really, you know, we're, you know, for one reason or another, I personally think it's like divine that you're focused on one individual, and he felt like the guy all the time. You know, a couple offensive players just didn't make it there, and you know, we weren't in a position to go get somebody either. But I would say that if we would have had that ammunition to do that was somebody that everybody had the consensus. You know, we had a couple guys that we would, you know, he was probably he was obviously the primary guy on defense to go get. Mm-hmm. But we forgot, like, you know, there was a period in there that felt like, you know, maybe it was, I don't know, it was probably like an hour and a half it was probably an hour and a half, but it felt like it just went by so fast. But it was like, okay, it happened, and then all of a sudden we started getting texts that, you know, Indy was picking UCLA, so.
Yeah.
And then Byron Murphy falls to you guys at 16. Just talking about your new role. Before, your focus was defense. You're worried about your players and your scheme and the whole thing. And now you're evaluating offensive players. Are you leaning? I mean, not that you don't know football and offensive players, but are you deferring to your coaches more? How does the evaluation of offensive players happen for you now, considering your sole focus prior to this was on defense?
There's definitely a curve, evaluating offensive guys. You just haven't done it. So, yeah, you're absolutely leaning on offensive line, Huff and Grubb and all those guys, Nuge, and then all of our scouts. I think, and you're listening to how they're describing them and things that are important to you, like principle-wise. Of course, we're going to have an idea there. Then you kind of feel how you're aligned, and then, okay, that guy, I kind of saw the same thing. That makes sense. And it's just, and then, that curve will shorten, over the years and stuff. And that's a process I look forward to, trying to build the best team we possibly can, all three phases. And, next year I'll get started on a lot earlier and be able to be in the process from the get-go, which I'm looking forward to.
So, Mike, you're kind of a linebacker aficionado, right? That's kind of your position. That is, what's it mean to your defense to have? So you got Big Cat that you signed, and you got that guy's hard to move. I mean, he's hard to double team, and then you got another guy who. Same thing, Byron Murphy. I mean, how important is that to your linebackers and just your defense in general to have those two pieces?
Yeah, well, I think it's more than two pieces. I'm really excited about our front, especially our D-line. I mean, guys like Jay Reed is a stalwart in there, being a leader for the team. Third down pass rush, Leo, Hank was a great acquisition. The man they got for us, and Draymond, I feel like is going to have a great year. I think we have a cool role for him. And then you add a guy like Murph to the whole equation. I mean, it's going to be fun to see how that works out, rep-wise and how we can move them. But one thing that's really neat about who we have and how we're structured is there's like position flexibility, where that might not have been the case in rosters that I've worked with in the past. So it's going to be a fun process, man, of seeing who works well with who and how we call the games, and maybe some different personnel groups that you haven't seen from us in the past. And so. It's time to experiment and see who's good at what and see how it clicks. So it's going to be really fun.
One of the things we've talked about is it's been the same two guys, John and Pete, for 14 years. You kind of know what to expect. You know what the philosophies are, and now everything's new. We don't, we can look at Baltimore and go, well, that's what they did on defense.
Sure.
But how much of that applies to what's going on here? Was that based on the personnel you had there, or was that based on this is my scheme and I plug in players that fit my scheme? Is that fair to say out here, this is the scheme I bring here, or I'm going to adjust the scheme based on the personnel I have?
Yeah, I think you guys would be surprised about how much alignment from the get-go of how we see the game. And not just John, but everybody up here, and then all of our coaches. And a lot of it has the way that we've played here in Seattle for years, especially when we were, cooking, going to Super Bowls and stuff. So that's a lot of carryover, what we're going to value. And so that was a pretty seamless transition. And then I think just philosophically speaking, I think good coaches will take great players and figure out how to use them. There's things you're going to stress about, some size criteria and things like that. But play demeanor and style and all that kind of stuff, I mean, that was less of a transition than one might think.
I don't remember a draft where you heard more about how guys talking about, I'm a dog. And I love what Carl Scott said, because he was like, hey, I got to see it. I don't need to hear it, or something on the call. It was kind of a hard-ass response by K. Scott, which I loved.
Oh, yeah, he's a hard-ass. So.
Yeah. No, I love Carl, man.
Yeah,
he's one of my favorites. But it just seemed like more often than in past drafts, I guess question for both of you, but it just seemed like you're looking for the grinders and the guys that just love, eat, breathe, sleep football. And it seemed like a lot of those guys sort of came out in your draft.
Yeah, we're always looking for that. I mean, it's just sometimes it happens, where you're picking a little bit more talent than maybe that dog you're talking about. Mm. But yeah, no, we're always looking for that, and it's kind of a term right now too, because a dog.
Yeah,
I mean, you would,
you got to earn that.
You would know that if you're really hip, Dave.
Like John is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys pay any attention to? Post-draft commentary. Everybody loves to give out the grades. But this team won, this team lost. This team hit it out of the park. You guys pay any attention to the reviews of your draft at all?
I mean, I like you'd be lying to say you ignore everything. But
right.
what I told our guys was like it's under our control of what happens to the development of our guys. Like we kind of write the story with that,
right?
With how we build our team and how we train our guys. So
you're saying you don't care what Mel Kiper thinks?
It's kind of a mute point. But yeah, of course you're going to see stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah, they spend so much time on it now. They used to be like, okay, well, how does Zimmerman have the first round?
Yeah.
Like a week and a half before the draft in Sports Illustrated. Now it's like you can have 15 mock drafts right up to the mock draft or right up to the draft, and then they can do it all the way through the draft, and then so now you have the gambling aspect too. So people are saying, people are betting on where a player's going to go and stuff too. So I don't know if the experts are gambling on it or not, but you know what I mean? But they're like, they're like, hey, well, this guy should have gone here, this guy should have gone there. You're supposed to go here, you're supposed to go. It doesn't matter as long as it's your player, your person, your competitor for your team, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of those
I kind of
guys,
like it when they're like,
they give you,
that was a bad pick. You're like, that's awesome.
Well, and that's kind of
awesome.
That's kind of why I asked, because across the board you guys got great grades, but anybody that had a criticism, it was about the two guys in the fourth round, to be honest.
Sure.
Those were the two guys people go, they could have gotten those guys later. They felt like that was their reach. That seemed to be the commonality between all the post-draft grades.
He always grades us down because he gave us an F for when we drafted. The 2012 draft was when we took Russell Wilson and Bobby and
was that a good draft?
and all those
that didn't work out at all.
They got a D.
Bruce Irvin, he gave us an F. He's like, what are they doing? And so so now I think for him maybe a B is really an A.
Yeah.
So it could be a sliding scale, if you will.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, tell us about those guys. Tyrese Knight. What you guys saw in him, guy from UTEP. Looked like he had good instincts as far as reading. I'll be a scout. His eyes were really good.
No, this is good. You sound like you're sitting in the room with him.
Yeah, no, but I mean, that's kind of what
he
it looked like.
He loves this stuff. He's so into it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it sounds like you're in the room with us. Those are the things that we saw. And again, like I said, it's like you have to be able to play linebacker. In order to do that, you have to make tackles. So guys that don't make plays and get guys on the ground, what are we doing? They're just standing around staring at each other. We need guys to go be active and go make plays and make tackles and see things. And it felt like the game was a little bit slow for them, which is what you want.
Yeah.
And again, nobody's doing all the things in college. They're all doing, it's all specific to the schemes, and it's hard to grade somebody harshly based off of what they've been asked to do. And then you see them translate it to Senior Bowl, and now everybody's a projection to a certain degree, right? So, we're confident that he's going to pick it up fast and compete to play.
We've talked about this before, John. Some of the sites that track salary cap, whether it's Over the Cap or SpoTrack or any of those. Mm-hmm. I don't know how accurate they are or aren't, but they have the Seahawks fairly close right now. Are you guys in a situation where
We are fairly close, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you still have to sign all your draft picks and everything. So
we budgeted for that, but we're pretty tight.
Are moves going to have to be made or readjustments?
There's some of the automatic stuff, that can happen where you can create cap space, like we did with Diggsy and Jamal and that sort of stuff last year. We may have a couple of those we utilize to create some more room, but we're budgeted to be able to keep trying to, work our team through the trade deadline, depending on, what other guys, salary cap numbers are. We're not done. We're not done. We try to budget all the way through.
How about some of the free agents that you guys signed? I mean, we've had some good ones around here. Jermaine Kearse, Doug Baldwin. Trying to think who else. There's been a few guys that you signed. Was Puna? Was he a free agent?
Puna was, yeah.
Yeah, so that was a lot of work. I mean, you got, 15 guys, and a lot of work this weekend, right, for the rookie to be able to get enough guys in here and to run drills and stuff like that. But anybody stand out to you that as far as a free agent that you signed that you're excited about?
Just excited about the whole group this weekend. Mike was open to having, like they did in Baltimore, having a whole group of people, a bunch of trial people too, to compare to the people that were signed as rookie free agents. And there's a number of guys that we signed, right away that, so for some guys, the path to the roster is more clear. And then, there's some guys that just make it more clear for you based on their performance. It's like basically what Bobo did last year. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, we take a lot of pride in the UDFA process. I mean, those are our guys. Our challenge is to develop them and coach them just like we would the, first few guys on the roster. So that's our mentality. We had a meeting this week to say, hey, we're coaching everybody all the time, so that's our philosophy. And, players are allowed to get better. And sometimes, like, it doesn't matter where you find them. I've had a lot of experiences where tryout guys have made the roster and made an impact. And doesn't matter where you start, man. It's just about coming in and being productive and being your best self, and we'll coach you up. And, there's a lot of opportunity out there.
What do they go through? What do the rookies go through in this camp?
This camp? Yeah.
Yeah. What is it? A lot of drills? Is it intensive? Or is it more about learning? Here's our terminology or our philosophy.
Yeah, it's an intro to the philosophy and who we are culture-wise. A good opportunity for them to be by themselves, like without the vets. To kind of hear it for the first time. Scheme-wise, we'll keep it pretty simple, just to let them go out there and try to go play. But we're going to have proper practices and go out there and get some good work in. Do it the right way and stay off the ground and stuff. But that's a little bit of a learning curve, like learning how to practice like a pro and things like that. But it's a great opportunity for them to do that before the vets are here and we're doing it for real in OTAs. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Mike, we talked to one of your I can't remember if it was a coach or somebody that your first job as a coach was coaching freshman football.
Yeah,
and you
Xavier
were,
Smith, I know. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you were 9-0 and had 7 shutouts. I mean,
so that's the expectation here now.
That was that number one.
They're not allowed to score.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
But no, I was like, is that when it like clicked for you, or were you like, okay, I'm meant to be a coach?
Oh man, that was an awesome experience. You fell in love with coaching during that time. Just like I was saying, to see someone go from point A to point B from one day to another, like that was like, okay, this is awesome. Like this is really cool, and see people, develop as people. In high school is such a formative time, especially in that area, and to feel like your investment, you've got some return on it, just in your relationships, and that's when it hit me. The shutouts were cool. That was awesome. But we were playing like wing tee defense. I couldn't tell you where cover 3 was. We were just, tight go, and that was a couple of our calls there. So head slant field was a big one.
I agree with you. Shutouts are awesome.
Yeah,
Everybody's on board with that. Hey, have you gotten? I know it's been a short amount of time, but have you gotten used to how much more weight your words carry and everything is now the head coach? You're doing the press conferences. Anything you say is going to be picked apart. And Coach Macdonald said this. What did he mean by that? Or just anything you say. The thing we talked, the picture gate, as John called it. That became such a huge thing, and I'm sure you were probably sitting there going, "Wait, what?
Yeah.
What?" And everybody's talking about it, writing about it. Is this
okay?
New, that feeling of being?
Of course it's new. It's of course, and when you're getting ready for the process, you're getting, there's a lot of advice that you're asking folks, and some of the most sage advice that I got was, hey, every interaction you're going to have throughout the building is probably going to be the most meaningful interaction for like that person. Like they'll, if it's an intern or whatever, they're going to go back to their wife or whatever and say, hey, like, I hung out with the head coach for a while today. Like,
it's a big deal.
That's a big, so you want to, absolutely, you want to be intentional with your words and make sure that, you're being uplifting and empowering and, and reinforcing the values that you're saying. So you're backing on, you're walking the walk and talking the talk at the same time. So, absolutely, it's a learning experience. And just like everybody else in our staff, every day goes by, you're learning a little bit more. And, I think you can feel that throughout our staff too, which is exciting. Yeah, you can see the growth.
Is this a special draft for you, John? Just, first time, it's pretty much, you got final word, and did it feel differently for you, or was it just the same process that you do every single time?
It was really the same process all the way through. It really was. I think they just came in, Mike came in later.
Yeah.
He just came in later to the process. It wasn't. I know I've been asked that a ton, and it didn't feel like. I don't know. It didn't feel like I was like, this is who we're taking. You'll be damned if you didn't take this guy. You know what I mean?
All of a sudden, you're a dictator.
No, we've never. Elson and I have many leather-bound books in my office. Like, we haven't.
You know,
and I've told you guys a million times, like, it was never, I mean, like that. That's not how you win in this league. Like, you have to be, like, together and doing I mean, there's a lot of teams now that are hiring, like, a head coach, a general manager, and, like, a president of football operations or whatever. Like, there's no one person can do this job.
Yeah.
And that's just, when 2010, Pete recognized that. He just wanted to have input into who his partner was going to be.
Yeah. It looks like Mike has the same sense of humor as you, so that's good. You guys will get
movie
along.
guy too,
he
yeah.
laughs at your jokes.
Are you getting all the
Good
movie
stuff.
references? Do you know where?
I don't get his.
Yeah, Nolan is really the guy in the office that he is my most formidable movie quote opponent.
Okay.
From like 1995 to like 2001.
So pre-95, you're going to look at him with a blank look and go,
Well, I'm saying him, so
Oh.
John's looking at me like that. Yeah.
Oh,
Like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. And then the two of them will be laughing. And
John's
then
feeling
Trent will
left
be
out.
like, Trent, did you get that? No.
Yeah, Nolan's got some good ones. They'll come out there. It's impressive.
Yeah.
So overall, with the draft, did it go kind of how you thought it would? I mean, every year you probably have a sense of, well, we think this team will go this direction, this one will go this direction. You get calls and things like that for making moves. Did it, in the end, when you look back on it, do you feel like that was about the way it went, or no? I thought
Very much so, honestly. We knew we had groupings throughout the board, and we knew where we wanted to, like, we had touch points, and we got to them. And, we had a couple of times where we were going to move around, we didn't. We were going to move up, we didn't. 16, we stayed, waited. Yeah, it wasn't like it didn't feel like a draft to be, like, trying to be, like, the smartest guy in the room and trying to be moving all over the place.
right.
It felt like a draft, like, hey, we have buy-in with a new staff on these areas. Let's hit these areas and then grow from here.
Yeah, so it's interesting, putting together that whole staff and everything, and everybody's pretty much new here and fresh look and everything. And so, what's been like the biggest difference for you, Mike, as far as the difference between being in Baltimore and being here in Seattle? Is there anything like culturally, or as far as like the facility or anything that really stands out to you?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're on the opposite coast. You're in a totally new environment. I mean, it's there's a lot that's different, and I think just philosophically speaking, you don't want to come in like guns blazing, acting like you got all the answers. I mean, we've done a lot of really sweet things here for a long time. So, how do you merge like the visions of people, and that takes a lot of listening and figuring it out, and you're not just gonna like cut it once and be like, all right, here we go, this is what we're doing, So it's. And there's so many different aspects of our organization and like arms of it and tentacles and everywhere. So I think we're still working through that. I think we've made a lot of progress, but it's going to be, hopefully we're working on it for years and years and years, and you just keep evolving over and over and over. So that's the philosophy.
This is it. This is the swan song. This is
So sad.
You're welcome to
just
come
John-
back every week if you want, John. I mean, it's,
I'm off the hook to, like,
I told John he needed to bring the baton and just say, bring me pass it over.
I think I'm literally off the hook till training camp, Dave.
yeah, the door is always open.
Yeah.
Anytime you feel like you got to unburden yourself, we're
I
here
think it's
for
going to be a car ride call, just like,
whatever.
yeah, you were at the baseball game, I remember that.
Yeah.
And you were completely wrong what you guys were talking about.
Whatever.
And I was like,
I got to straighten them out.
It's like you were talking about these roster moves these people are making when they're not picking up options. That's not a roster move.
That's a different show. You're
I could
thinking
tell
of.
you.
Yeah, you're talking about another show.
We're
That
not.
wasn't us.
No, he started off the show saying,
Oh, that was an update.
these are roster moves that are not roster moves.
Okay.
They're just,
We don't make
Not
mistakes
making
on this show,
decisions.
mister.
oh, I'm going to miss you guys.
Oh,
Tiger
that-
playing the U.S. Open is pretty sweet. I didn't know that.
Yeah, got an exemption. That's news, right? Does that count, or is that not a thing? Or okay,
It wasn't. The U.S. Open didn't make a move.
they didn't make it. That wasn't a roster move. No, but hey, seriously, anytime you guys want to come on, the door's open. Great to meet you, Coach.
thanks, guys.
Very cool to talk to you, John. It's been fun.
All right.
We've had a lot of
It's
fun.
been fun again. I appreciate you guys.
Very cool. That's John Schneider. That's Mike Macdonald, the head coach and the GM, president of football operations. We'll come back, talk about what we just heard as we continue live from the Virginia Mason Athletic Center in Seattle Sports on 710.